What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Nice Catch Podcast, where we're here to catch you up on all the latest football news and analysis. I'm Baden.
And I'm Hank. We are doing our top three today again. Games, players, team, storyline. And if you want to hear about Devon Achan's game against the Bills, or Travion Henderson's breakout game, finally, or the fact that Oregon almost got beat by Iowa, all of that and more.
You're in the right spot.
You want to hear about a quarterback who was thrown for 25 touchdowns and 0 picks? You're in the right spot.
Uh-oh.
You are in the right spot. Today, I'll be starting today with my top 3 games.
Yeah.
We got all 3 college games, a little bit different than last week for Hank Lay. But we're starting with a Group of 5 game, Tulane over Memphis, last Friday night. Memphis was the Group of 5 favorite, 41% chance of making the playoffs before this game. Now, there's virtually no way for them to make it now. Tulane is now one of the more likely teams with a 13% chance in the Group of 5 to make the playoffs. Big game for Tulane, really big game for the opposite reason for Memphis. Next up, there's my notes. We got Oregon over Iowa. Just mentioned that. I predicted that Iowa would beat Oregon, and I was close. I was close. Oregon, if they had missed that walk-off field goal, I would be sitting here going, hey guys. Hey, who told you so? I told you so. Nice Catch Podcast. You heard it here first. But taking the spread was still nice in this game. Iowa covered the spread. I think it was a 6.5 closing spread, and it ended up being, obviously, 2 points. So Iowa is a very good team this year. The fact that they have an offense, more of an offense at least, puts them as contenders. And Oregon, this is their biggest win so far. Their biggest win was Northwestern, because Penn State, is not good now.
Yeah.
So there you go. Oregon and Iowa for the number 2 game. And number 1, starting at 3, going up to 1. Vandy over Auburn. What more could you ask for a high-scoring overtime win to keep Vanderbilt in the playoff race? And Auburn's quarterback, Ashton Daniels, had a great game, too. We are used to seeing Jackson Arnold out there. Ashton Daniels put a good spark in Auburn's offense, scoring 25 points, a lot more than normal for a relatively abysmal Auburn offense. And we love offense, right? Defensive games can be fun, but like Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, those games, 7-10, not fun. 730 total passing yards between the 2 starting quarterbacks alone in this game. So, big offensive game, Vanderbilt over Auburn, and keeps Vandy alive. Right now, they have a 24% chance to make it to the playoffs. If they beat Kentucky, I did that wrong. If they beat Kentucky, which they definitely should, and they beat Tennessee, which will be closer to a toss-up, they have a 73% chance to make the playoffs.
Hey.
Tennessee's won't be easy. And if they lose to Tennessee, they're almost for sure not making it. They have a less than 1% chance if they lose to Tennessee. But Vandy's playoff hopes are alive, and we all love to see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's... Vanderbilt's just such an odd team, because you just expect them... I don't know why, but, you just expect them to be terrible. You just don't expect them to be a good team. Yeah, exactly. And so to have them, I can't imagine what Vandy fans are feeling right now with just this. With one win away from a very, very likely being the first time in the college football playoffs in who knows how long.
Probably ever. I don't know how long.
Honestly,
but their only losses are by 16 to Bama and by 3 to Texas.
To Texas, yeah. And so. Those are, if you're going to lose to 2 teams in the SEC, those are pretty fair losses.
Yeah.
All right. My top 3 games. I am going to start us off with a college game. Indiana versus Penn State.
What a game.
What a game. And very, very surprising because like you said, we've seen through this season, Penn State is really not a good team. No. They started off, I think there was a lot of stock behind them, and they just, with a coach firing, they're just not a very good team.
They may have been my preseason number 1.
Yeah, but they, but they showed up against Indiana and put Indiana in a pretty tight spot there for a while in the game. However, this is a good win for Indiana. They haven't had to win a game this is their closest game of their season so far. And so for them to go in there and win a close game against Penn State, now can you say, Penn State's not a good team, why was it this close? Fair enough. But they have shown that they can win in these close games. They can win without, being up 20 in the first half. They are a good team. They can bunker down and get the job done when it is tight. And so a good win for Indiana, but just a good game in general. A great game, Penn State versus Indiana, fun to watch.
I like the point that you made that they can win in close games because I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. Because Indiana had not been in a place to where they've been down in the fourth quarter, have to lead a game-winning drive. Fernando Mendoza, Heisman favorite, or actually very close to the Heisman favorite. I'll talk about that later.
Even against Oregon, they won by 10. They were leading most of the game, especially there at the end. So this was a needed win before you go into the playoffs. I think you see that sometimes. Think about Oregon. Was it last year? Last year, they were blowing teams out. They didn't have to really fight hard during the regular season. They get in and they get killed their first game. And to be fair, it was against Ohio State. But I think you need a close game in your season. It proves something to yourself, I think, and to everybody watching. So definitely a good game. And my number 2 game, Patriots over Bucks. What a game there at the end.
So fun to watch.
So fun to watch. I can appreciate both teams. I think with me, if you've ever listened to any episodes of this podcast, you probably know who I was rooting for. I was rooting for the Bucks, but I was excited to watch this game. This was an important game. Two big two, at this point, pretty much guaranteed playoff teams in the NFL, an AFC and an NFC team. But, this was we have two teams that we know are quality. We know they're good. And for the the Buccaneers have had to win some good games. They've had some big wins this year. The Patriots, I think there's been some, other than their win against the Bills, which we don't even know. I don't even know what to do with the Bills right now.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
Other than their win against the Bills, they've had good games, but I don't know that there's been a game where you're like, oh, the Patriots, you feel like you can put all your stock on the Patriots. I guess I'll say it that way. After this game, they played a good game. They beat a good team. The Buccaneers, even with the injuries on their offense, they are still a good team, and they've shown that. And so for the Patriots to come in here and win the way that they did, and but even the Bucs, they tried to do it again. They tried to come in with a last-minute comeback. They got close. I'm looking right now at I want to check myself, and it really doesn't look like the Patriots have. The Patriots did they beat? No, that's January 2025. The Patriots, this was probably their biggest win, their biggest game so far.
The Bills were
other than the Bills,
a good game,
23-20, very fair, very important.
To have this much on the line, because that game against the Bills was earlier in the season. The Patriots, we weren't sure because they lost 2 of the first 3 games.
Yeah.
But at this point, the fact that they're both 2-loss teams this late in the season shows them both to be contenders. They go in to Tampa Bay, get the win.
Yeah, and just stop a fourth quarter comeback. A really, really great game. And so just fun to watch as a football fan with how good these two teams are. And these are two teams that are easy to root for, I think, this year.
Oh, definitely.
And so that was a fun game this last Sunday.
Yeah, I've definitely found myself rooting for Drake May. May MVP hype is so fun.
So real. Is he 2 right now?
He's I think he's the favorite right now.
Really? Because Josh Allen, of course, would have gone down.
Yes.
So, that would make him 1.
Yes, it's close. I'll talk about that more later. But he, right now, is the favorite very, very close with the second place or even first place, depending on where you look.
So that what a game. What a game.
And the Patriots' only 2 losses right now, just to kind of a rabbit trail, were the first and third games of the season. The third game of the season was to the Steelers, so good team, lost by 7. You're figuring things out.
Yeah.
First game of the season, they lost to the Raiders. And looking back, that's got to be a fluke game.
Gotta be a fluke game.
Their leading rusher that game had 27 yards. And the Raiders have won one other game besides that, and that was against the Titans.
Yeah.
So,
and think honestly, I feel like in the last 3 years the Chiefs have lost their opening game.
They lost to the Lions. They lost to
the Chargers this year.
Yes, and they should have lost to the Ravens the year before.
Yeah. So that first game, a lot of times you're just getting into things, especially with a pretty young team like the Patriots, like all around young new team. So yeah, but moving on to my number 1 team, I have the Texans over the Jaguars. That was a crazy game, and I was able to watch that with my family, which is fun. Because when I'm in the dorm, I'm just not turning on the Texans games.
Yeah.
Because I just don't. At this point, I'll be honest, I don't believe in them. And so
fair.
if I'm not with my family, who are all Texans fans, I'm probably not watching that game. But I was at home. I was with my family, and we had the Texans game on, and I was about to leave for church, and the Texans were down. I don't remember the score, but it wasn't looking good for the Texans. And they genuinely, I was either just leaving church or just got back from church. But it was not good, is what I'll tell you. And I was like, okay, wow. And I saw there were some bad plays that I got the pleasure of watching. And then I had lunch with my family. My little brother made some really good chicken wings. He's quite the cook. And so we turned the TV off so we could just focus on some family time. And then I drive home and I look at the score and I'm like, my phone is just dinging with ESPN updates because I think I had not CJ Stroud. Who did I have? Maybe I had a Jaguars player. I think I had Travis Etienne. Anyways, I keep getting updates with that game.
Yeah.
And I look at the score and I was genuinely amazed. And so with this game, Davis Mills, I think the biggest surprise of this week is Davis Mills. Davis Mills had quite the game, especially after going 8% on third down after coming in last week.
Yikes.
Davis Mills led them to the Jags versus Texans is always a good game. Either way, it doesn't matter how bad one or both of those teams are. They always fight. That's what you get with divisional games. And this game was quite the fight. It was one of those really good games. So the Jaguars got ahead at the beginning, and they looked like the more dominant team. But then the Texans. The Texans didn't score until the second quarter, 20-10 going into the third. Guess what? They didn't score again, so now it's 29-10 going into the fourth quarter. The Texans put up 26 points in the fourth quarter. Like the Cleveland, like the Denver Broncos.
I think I said that the other. I said Cleveland.
You said Cleveland Bengals. Yeah. The Denver. It's an orange team. So
exactly.
The Denver Broncos. Houston Texans put up 26 in the fourth quarter, and if I am remembering correctly, on the kind of the comeback drive for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Derek Stingley, is that where Derek Stingley got that one-handed interception? I think it is on the comeback drive for the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. Derek Stingley gets just the most incredible one-handed interception I have ever seen. It was either on that drive or maybe a couple drives before when the Jacksonville Jaguars were trying to regain momentum, and it's like that killed it. That was done. And so a great pick by Derek Stingley, a great fourth quarter by the Texans, almost scoring as many points in the fourth quarter as the Jags did the whole game. And so that was quite the game, and just very, very, very exciting. It's always a good game, rivalry game, and the Texans, they got some fight in them. They've got a little bit of fight left in them, and now they're only one game back from the Jaguars. So
really? Okay,
that's
actually crazy. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So depending on how the Chiefs and depending on how the AFC, a lot of teams finish out their season. So now you got the Ravens. They have the same record as the Ravens right now. So them and the Ravens are both sitting at 4-5.
That's impressive for both of them.
For both of those teams. So they're not out of it. The Texans are not out of it, and a big part of that is because of this game. So easy top 3, Indiana versus Penn State, Patriots over Bucks, and Texans over Jaguars.
There you go. What a top 3.
What a top 3.
All of these games, so fire. The fact that one of the 2 teams ranked above Texas A&M almost lost. We'll see tonight.
Yeah.
Obviously, with college football playoff rankings, by the time this releases, you will know where Indiana and A&M are ranked. But a lot of people saying that A&M should be 2 and Indiana should be 3.
Oh, after this week, definitely.
After this week, we'll see. I like not being number 1, but maybe A&M deserves it at this point. So, But that leads us to players, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 players. Who's the odd man out? Who do I not want to talk about? I told you I'd talk about 2 of them. I know the last one on here is one you're talking about.
Oh, I didn't. Did I not write him down?
You did. I just wrote him down anyway because I'm not going to make him one of my main players, but I'm gonna mention a few things when you talk about him.
I was looking at someone. I wasn't even looking at that. I was thinking about this person, but don't even listen to me.
Okay.
I'm not even here. Continue, Hank.
Great.
I'm lost.
No, you're fine. I'll just. Well, I already told you what 3 I'm going to talk about. So Tyler Shuck, you had a great first start and a win, but we're not going to talk much about you today. Sorry.
Sorry, Tyler.
Travion Henderson. First game, over 100 rushing yards, the breakout we've been waiting for in this game against the Bucks. You got Vita Vea on that line. Not easy to run against these guys. 14 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. Surprisingly, only 1 catch. We saw him at Ohio State, how dynamic he was with the ball in his hands on screen plays and stuff like that. But we're finally seeing him do what we knew he could do.
Yeah.
And that's be an explosive running back. And fantasy managers everywhere rejoice. If you have been patient and kept Travion Henderson on your bench, unlike me dropping him, there you go. You got fantasy points. Some of us have to submit waiver claims.
Got a little bit of payout. Got a little bit of payout today.
Now I'm submitting a waiver claim for him.
There we go.
But another running back on a team with a big win was Devon Achane. 22 carries, 174 yards. That's the most in the NFL this week for rushing yards. 2 touchdowns, as well as 6 receptions for 51 yards, and led the Dolphins to beat the Bills. Just like, what is even going on? 30-13. I was looking on Fliff, fake sports betting, and with my Fliff money, I was like, oh, Bills not favored by 9.5, like easy. Like the Bills are easily going to cover that spread.
Yeah.
And no, they don't.
And indeed, they did not.
So the Bills are probably the most confusing team in the NFL because you lose to the Falcons, lose to the Dolphins, but then you beat the Chiefs. I don't know. Anyway, Devon Achane, what a game for him. Whenever he came into the league, I was saying like he'll be a good running back, but it'll take him a few years. He was a great running back right off the bat. His rookie season was better than I expected him to be in his career, and exceeding my expectations by a lot right now. And then number 1 player. I woke up and decided to wear a long sleeve shirt, and I decided to wear my Uconn shirt that I had thrifted for $1.
Ayo.
And unbeknownst to me, because I had not prepped this section yet, or any section, I was going to talk about Joe Fagnano, quarterback for Uconn. He led Uconn to a win against Duke last week. Duke, big team right there, ACC contender, actually. And on the season, he's thrown for 2,840 yards, 25 touchdowns, and the most impressive part of all of this, zero interceptions.
That's crazy. Genuinely crazy.
Has not thrown an interception. And now that I'm talking about it, he's going to throw one next season, obviously. But 0 interceptions this whole season. Second in the country in passing yards right now. And he's leading Uconn to a great season as well. You look at their record; they're 7-3 right now, and they're on track to finish 9-3. Best regular season record since 2007. They finished 9-4 last season, but that was because of a bowl win that gave them that 9th win. And the funny thing is, Joe Fagnano, it's his 7th season of college football. He played at Maine for 4 seasons, and now this is his 3rd season at UConn. And you know what they say, 7th time's the charm.
7th time's the charm. And that saying that everybody says is coming true.
Coming very true.
With Joe from UConn.
Joe from UConn, 6'4", 225. Who knows if he'll be an NFL prospect.
That is insane. 0 interceptions this season.
And honestly, UConn's still independent. And so they're only half a game behind the top independent team right now in Notre Dame.
Really?
So no conference championship for them to go win. But if they're a group of 5 team, they lost to Syracuse in week 2 and Delaware in week 3. And both of those were close one-possession games. And then Rice by 3. But they beat Duke. They've crushed a lot of teams. FIU, they beat 51-10. And so who knows if we'd be talking about them as group of 5 contenders if they were in a conference like even, any conference.
In a conference.
In a conference.
In a conference.
Blank, period. There
Boom.
you go.
It's a good lineup there, Hank.
Thank you. I do what I can sometimes.
Indeed you do.
Wait.
All the time.
I do what I can all the time.
You do what you can.
Exactly.
And that's what you do. My top 3 players are, got a pretty good lineup, going more NFL on this one. Number 1, I talked about this a little bit, Davis Mills. He came in last week for the Texans. C.J. Stroud gets what seems like just an absolutely blatant late hit.
Yeah.
A concussion, bad concussion, I believe. And so he's out. Davis Mills comes in and goes 8% third down conversion rate. That's 1 for 12 on third down.
That's not good if you're wondering.
If you don't know much about football, you're getting into it, that's bad.
Very bad.
And so coming into this week, it's like you look at all the games, say you're looking at games, you're trying to, I wonder who's going to win this. I wonder who's going to win this. You look at Jags versus Texans, you think, that might be a good game. You see Davis Mills as the starting quarterback, and you think, that's not going to be a good game. It was. And Davis Mills, sorry, I'm pulling it up right now. Davis Mills threw 27 for 45, 292 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception, and a rushing touchdown. He had 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards, after going 1 for 12 on third down. What a turnaround. He did exactly what his team needed him to do, and, leading his team to a comeback win in the fourth quarter, an insane comeback win in the fourth quarter. He stepped in as the backup and did exactly what backups are expected to do. He played exactly how he needed to, if not above that. A lot of quarterbacks do not get 300 yards in a game. That is a lot of passing yards. 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. This was an incredible game for Davis Mills. He stepped in. Hopefully, this was quite the game. Hopefully he can be consistent while he needs to be until they can get C.J. Stroud back, get him healthy. But there's some hope that wasn't there that seems like it maybe could be put in Davis Mills to be that backup while he needs to. Mm-hmm. He had a great game and a good week for Davis Mills.
And I love the NFL draft. And so I'm looking back at that NFL draft class. And this was the year of Trevor Lawrence. Good starting quarterback, ups and downs. I'm still not totally bought in, but, and then Zach Wilson, thumbs down.
Yeah.
Trey Lance, more thumbs down.
More thumbs down.
Actually, I don't know which one of them. Give more thumbs down to. Justin Fields, not looking great for him. Mac Jones, maybe finally found a spot. Mm-hmm. But And then other quarterbacks in the second round, you got Kyle Trask, has not done much. Got beat out by Baker Mayfield for that job and is not getting that anytime soon.
No.
You had Kellen Mond, drafted one spot before Davis Mills, and he has been in the UFL.
Yeah.
And then Davis Mills, right now, I'd put him at the second best quarterback.
Yeah, second best.
Maybe third. Mac Jones made a
Top
Pro Bowl.
three.
Top 3 quarterback in his draft class.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have guessed that Davis Mills from Stanford, third-round pick, and he was not. For any of you who are wondering, you should look up what pick of the draft Davis Mills was in the third round, early third round. If you can probably guess. You can do a little math.
I bet if you just think real hard, you could figure it
That's
out.
a good point. I'll leave it up to you.
To the listener. All right. Now, moving forward, I got Stephon Diggs. Now, Stephon Diggs, he's on the Patriots. He had a decent game. He had nothing insane, but a good game. I think he had a receiving touchdown, which he hasn't gotten an insane amount of. He hasn't been utilized an insane amount this year.
He's on that back end of his
He's
career.
on the back end of his career, which actually makes the point that I'm making even more impressive to me. Yeah, 5 receptions for 46 yards and a touchdown. That's not an insane stat line, but however, what puts him on my top 3 players is the way that he prioritized his team in this game. The Buccaneers had just scored, and they were going for an onside kick. If they get this back, if they score a touchdown, the game is probably over. Mm-hmm. Touchdown, extra point, the Buccaneers win. The onside kick goes straight. It goes up. It bounces real high. It goes straight to Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs has a business decision. He is a well-established player in the league. He's on the back end of his career. He really doesn't have anything to prove. He doesn't have much to lose except for his health, honestly, at this point, and longevity. And he jumps up and grabs the onside kick and takes a massive hit. He gets laid out, actually. But he sacrificed his body, put his body on the line to make sure to secure his team the victory. And I think there's a lot of respect that needs to be put into that. A lot of guys, when they're at that point in the season, when they're faced with that situation, it's easy to at least let the ball bounce behind you. Somebody's going to get it. Maybe you just hit a block or something, kind of put your body in the way, get in the way a little bit. No, he got up there, he secured the ball, knowing full well, if you just look 5 yards in front of you, there is a Bucs player sprinting full speed, wanting to take your head off and get that ball.
Yeah.
He didn't make the easy business decision. He secures his team the win, and I think that's worth noting. I think that's worth noting for a receiver and a player of his established season or career. He has nothing to prove. He got in there and he secured his team the win, and I wanted to point that out. I think there's a lot of respect that needs to go into that.
Definitely, I love that.
Yeah, and even I think there was a big thing last season where there was just some questions with different teams where running backs weren't blocking and receivers, were kind of not wanting to. It seemed like to protect from injury, people weren't necessarily going all out, and so it's good to see somebody go all out and put themselves on the line to secure for the team. So I think that's pretty cool. And now, number 3, I have, and I think maybe a couple weeks ago he was up here, but there's just you can't get around it. Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, in a game against the Falcons, Colts versus Falcons, he 32 carries, 244 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
It's just incredible.
That is insanity. And this wasn't a game where you look at the score and it's 42-7, where it's like, okay, they just handed him the ball and he just ran around however he wanted to. No, 31-25 in overtime. Everything that he did, he needed to do. This was an incredible game, an incredible showing for him. And I mean, when you're looking at like who should be MVP, I think he deserves votes up there. And I think we'll probably talk about that later. He is up there as a non-quarterback. I think 2 or 3 seasons ago, Christian McCaffrey was kind of that guy where you're like, if it's not going to be a quarterback, it'll be Christian McCaffrey. That's what it's looking like right now with Jonathan Taylor. He was already on pace to. I mean, he is by far having the best season of his life. Touchdown wise, it's genuine insanity. I think if you look at his season rushing touchdowns, 15 regular season rushing touchdowns right now. Through week 10. This is insanity, an amazing season for him, and an amazing game. And what's actually really funny is, I mean, 3 rushing touchdowns in a game is very good, and this isn't even his first game with 3 rushing touchdowns.
Like he has third or fourth.
This is his 4th game with 3 rushing touchdowns. He is just having an incredible season, but he got about twice the carries as his average game. 32 carries. His next closest is 25, and that was in week 2. And so Jonathan Taylor, you can't not give him his props after this week. Easily my number 1 player of the week. So I have Davis Mills, Stephon Diggs, and Jonathan Taylor.
I love that. This is the 18th highest rushing total for a running back in a single game ever. Top 20 ever. And
Golly.
He has one game that's higher than that. 244. You look at some of the few names that are ahead of him. Derrick Henry has one ahead of him. Mm-hmm. DeMarco Murray, Saquon Barkley, Jamal Charles, Sean Alexander, Walter Payton has one ahead of him. Adrian Peterson. These names are like
best.
Exactly.
The established best running backs that we've seen.
Jonathan Taylor. 2nd round pick in 2020 and the best running back in the NFL today. And as you mentioned, should he be MVP? He is just about tied for 3rd in odds right now. Depends on where you look. Some places he's 3rd, some places he's 4th. Mm-hmm. But Jonathan Taylor right now, top 3 or 4 in MVP odds right now for good reason.
Incredible football player having an incredible season.
And if he doesn't win MVP, then he should be the runaway offensive
player of the year
but,
by far.
Of course, JSN, Jonathan, Jackson Smith and Jigba has had an amazing season too.
Yes.
Both of these guys are just like, if you look at wide receivers, you look at JSN. If you look at running backs, you look at Jonathan Taylor. Mm-hmm. That is just where the NFL is right now.
Definitely.
And I think Jonathan Taylor's season, I'm not going to compare the two because they're different positions, and I don't want to. Anyway.
For sure. Apples to oranges.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, we got you.
So now we're to teams. Question mark, period, exclamation point.
Oh.
I don't know where that one came from. Do I want to talk about all? I'll start with talking about the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
I'll give Jason some love. The leader in NFL receiving yards by an extremely large margin. Mm-hmm. They had a huge win against the Cardinals. Not that it's huge to beat the Cardinals, but they beat them by 22 points.
Yeah.
Divisional opponents. And the Seahawks were one of the winners of the trade deadline, giving up a very small amount for Rashid Shaheed, adding to their wide receiver core with obviously JSN, best receiver in the NFL right now, stats-wise this year. They had Cooper Kupp, again, on the back end. I didn't think he was washed. Maybe he is. I believe Marquez Valdez-Scantling is still on the Seahawks, but again, has not done much on that team. But you get Rashid Shaheed, a proven deep threat. If he can stay healthy, just adds to the amount of, just explosiveness that their offense has. And again, tight ends breaking out. Elijah Arroyo having a really good season. A.J. Barner, tight end, having a great season. Torrey Horton, rookie, great punt returner, having a good season. But JSN, part of the reason he has over 1,000 receiving yards at this point, only wide receiver with that right now, is because, his other receivers aren't picking up a lot of the slack. Mm-hmm. But Seahawks right now, 7-2. If you look at NFL standings right now, I went to the tab I went from the tab that had my NFL standings to the Seahawks, and so they're at the head of their division with holding the tiebreaker against the Rams, and in the NFC, they are tied with the Eagles for first in the NFC. And I mean, of course, tough division with the Rams and the 49ers, but if the Seahawks stay at this pace, you look at the rest of their season, the Rams, not an easy game next week. Titans, Vikings, Falcons, all those they should win. Colts, that one will be really interesting. Rams again, Panthers, 49ers could always be interesting. So lots of very winnable games in the Seahawks season. I think they're real contenders. Yeah. Which is crazy to say about Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold and the Seahawks.
I was talking to one of my friends here who's a Cardinals fan about this game, and I was telling him, like, I thought that last year it was like, okay, this is a quarterback-friendly system in Minnesota, like, and you're with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, like, this offensive line, this defense, like, okay, like, you have everything handed to you. Of course you're going to do well. And then you get to Seattle, don't have the same defense. You have good wide receivers. You have JSN, you have Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, but you don't have the same setup, and you're an even better quarterback.
Even better.
You are, right now, 6th in MVP odds.
Yeah, and he's top. Is he top 3 in passing yards? Top 5. Top maybe not.
He has been,
but maybe falling out of it this kind of like in and out maybe.
Right now that's standings, not stats. Right now he is not in the top 5 passing yards because he is 7th.
7th
in passing yards. So top 7 in passing yards. Who would have guessed?
Sam
and again,
Darnold.
Almost half of those passing yards have gone to JSN.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy to think about. You know, you got a roster with 5 wide receivers, 6 wide receivers, half of the yards going to one guy.
Not counting tight ends and running backs.
Not counting tight ends and running backs. That's genuinely insane. Yeah.
Second team, go back to college, Texas Tech. Oh, why am I? Okay. Anyway, I maybe I'm ready to buy them as contenders. Maybe. You just get a playoff win the Big 12, get a playoff win, and maybe I'll buy the fact that you're contenders. Again, you're the second highest NIL spender in college football right now. But right now they have a 66% chance to make the playoffs, even if they don't win the Big. As a whole right now, they have a slightly higher chance than that. I think that high 70s or 80s. And they look like a very good football team, even though a lot of their team has been bought.
Yep.
Whatever. It's legal, so I'll give it to them.
What are you going to do, huh?
Exactly. What are you going to do if NIL is legal? And then we've talked about the Patriots enough. I'll talk about this team, and I don't want to jinx it, but I don't believe it. Anyway, Texas A&M, 99% chance to make the playoffs right now. They're about to get their starting running back, Le'Veon Moss, back. They're favored by... actually, I'm going to make you guess, Baden. A&M versus South Carolina. South Carolina started the season as a top 15 team. How much do you think A&M is favored by to beat South Carolina right now?
10.
10?
12.
18.5 right now. Which is crazy because this is Lenora Sellers. And so I don't like lines being that dramatic right now, but the Aggies look like real contenders. I've had them as second in the SEC for a long time, with Alabama just being Alabama, you know. But after this week, I mean, Alabama may have played a little better defensively versus LSU, but their offense only scored 20 points when A&M scored 49, I believe, against LSU. And so, who's the best team in the SEC? It might be the team down there in College Station. And we'll see, because South Carolina, you never know what they're going to bring. And then ending the season in Austin, if Texas beats Georgia, that's going to be a top 10 game on a Friday night. It's going to be absolutely insane. So Texas A&M, they're my last team I'm going to mention right now.
There we go. That is a good lineup of teams. All right, my top 3 teams. I'm going to start us off with the Bears. Okay, the Bears coming off of a good win against the a good win against the Giants. Now, of course, the Giants are they're not a good team. They're not a great team. However, I was looking. I saw the Bears record. It's like, oh, the Bears are 6-3. That seems good. That seems better than I guess my idea of the Bears team was. Okay, and then so you look at their division. Who 6-3? Who is their competition in that division? Yeah. Well, right now it is the Lions. The Lions at 6-3. Okay, and looking at the Lions and the Bears, the games that they have to finish out. The Bears are playing the Vikings, who are just coming off a pretty bad loss. Then the Steelers. Steelers are a good team. They have to play the Eagles. The Eagles are a good team. They have to play the Packers twice, but then also the Browns. I think that's a good win. I think they'll win one of the games against the Packers, and I think they beat the 49ers. So I think that they could add at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins before they play the Lions the last game of the season. Now, you look at the opposite side, you look at the Lions, they are finishing out they have to play the Eagles. They also have to play the Packers. The Rams, who we know are a pretty good team, and the Vikings and the Steelers as well. So they honestly have about the same looks when it comes to finishing out the season. Mm-hmm. So I think that the Lions and Bears game at the end of this, the last game of the season for those two teams, could genuinely decide who is maybe not who goes to the playoffs, depending on how the rest of the NFC, possibly both those teams, depending on how everything lines up, but either who gets that playoff spot or at least, and honestly, more importantly, who is number one in that division. And so the and if you look at who else is in their division, I would not, and how we saw the Bears last season, Packers and Vikings, I would have put the Bears last in this division easily, without question. They are playing, in my opinion, far above expectations.
Oh, 100%.
And so if they can finish strong, I think that they'll be battling with the Lions in that last game for number one in the division.
Yeah.
All it takes, honestly, for them is one bad loss from the Lions to get there. You know, so I don't know. I was kind of surprised as I was looking at all these things. I guess I knew the Bears were having a better season, but I didn't realize how good of a season they were having.
They've flown very under the radar for being a 6-3 team.
Yes, yeah. I think that's a very good way of putting it, I think.
Right now, sitting at 6th in playoff standings, of course, because of the Rams. Not having a tiebreaker would be a wild card team.
Mm-hmm. And then... number 2, I have the Ravens. The Ravens, so I talked about them a good bit last week, but my one caveat with their win against the Dolphins is that they won against the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of funny now because the Dolphins just blew out the Bills, but it's like they beat the Dolphins, okay? They won by a lot. It was a good win, but like, come on, you know? They just went and they just beat the Minnesota Vikings, which the Minnesota Vikings, they're not a bad team. You know, they're last in the division, but being last in their division in the NFC, they're still better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 6. They're still better than a lot of teams. Being last in the division, they're still better than a lot of the other teams in the NFC and AFC. The Vikings, by no means, are a bad football team. And so, for the Bills to get a good win, get a good win on Lamar Jackson's comeback, they now come and they beat a decent team. And didn't just beat them, but once again, blew them out. And so, if you look at their division, kind of similar to the Bears, they're one game back from the Steelers. And the Steelers are the Ravens are on a 3-win streak. I think that the Ravens have a pretty decent chance at the trajectory that they're going to kick the Steelers off of that number 1 spot. And a team that it looked like was out of the playoffs and didn't really have a shot to finish out this season could end up having a guaranteed playoff spot in the AFC North.
Crazy.
Which is absolutely insane.
They were 1-5, is that right?
They were 1-5, and then 2-5, and then 3-5, and then 4-5.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's actually wow.
And it was like their one win was the first week against the Bills. Or no, that was a loss. Sorry, their one win was week 2 against the Browns. And it's like the Browns are a bad team. And then Lamar Jackson gets injured, and it's like, okay, you know what, the Ravens, this is just not going to be a good year for them. Well, we don't know that. They're coming off, and they beat the Bears, who I just talked about, are looking like a good team. Then they beat the Dolphins, and now they beat the Vikings. And so they're and then their other win, against the Browns. So Bears and Vikings, those are two quality wins. And so it's looking up for the Ravens, and they have a decent, if not good, shot at being in the playoffs. And then finally, closing out my teams, I have the Rams. Now, you talked about the Seahawks, and so I guess on the other side of it, the Rams are matching wins with the Seahawks. The Seahawks and the Rams are both on a 4-win streak right now. They're both at 7-2. So the Seahawks win a game. The Rams just won a very good game against the 49ers in the division. A 49ers team that has played above expectations this year was sitting at the same record. They were both 6-2 coming into this game. The Rams get a good win, and this places them. They're going toe to toe with the Seahawks right now in the division. And so the thing is, if it comes down to it, the Rams, they haven't played the Seahawks yet? No, they haven't played the Seahawks. So this is going to be two very important games. They play the Seahawks this week. And so this is going to be incredibly important for that division because either the Seahawks or the Rams is going to bump down to 7-3, and the other team's going to go 8-2. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be really important. And then you give it 5 more weeks, and they play each other again. But I just wanted to shout that out there. As the Seahawks are progressively climbing and getting these good wins, the Rams are doing the exact same thing. They're mirroring them. And if we look at their schedule, they've had some very good wins. They beat the Colts. They handed the Colts their first loss. And so we know there's quality behind this Rams team. So, yeah, Bears, Ravens, and Rams all looking really good and kind of flying under the radar.
Definitely. I love that. Kind of all under the radar teams right there.
Oops.
I mean, the Rams, just what a season.
Yeah.
For all these guys, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, even their defensive line looking very good right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to finally storylines. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
I believe it is.
Let's go with first talk about a head coach being fired, and I'm not talking about Nico Harrison being fired from the Mavs, even though I did make sure to put that in my notes. I wore my Mavs hat today. And then I looked at ESPN at about 11 o'clock a.m., and I was like, oh, there we go.
There it is.
We all knew it was coming, and here it is. So, anyway, but Brian Daboll from a different blue team in a big city was fired. It was definitely surprising to me, if I'm being honest, because the Giants have looked like a better team than their record shows. And we saw what Brian Daboll did with Josh Allen as an offensive coordinator. We saw what Brian Daboll has done with Jackson Dart, even just his first season. Of course, some of these seasons not very good. He does have one playoff win with Daniel Jones against Minnesota a few seasons ago. But it was just surprising seeing the Giants were on the uphill. I thought they were just facing some bumps, but New York said, nope, this is it. Brian Daboll's out of here. I assume that he will be a very good offensive coordinator somewhere next season. That's my guess.
I think that he still has a long career in the NFL and a successful one. Just maybe not as a head coach, offensive coordinator. That move definitely surprised me because the Giants haven't been good for a while, but it looked like it looked like this was the year where they were starting to build things up, and so it definitely kind of caught me off guard, I would say.
Yeah. He's only 50 years old, so has a lot of good coaching career ahead of him. I'm guessing he gets a second stop somewhere after some good years as an OC somewhere. And then prepping, I went down into the weeds on some college football playoff stuff. And I think SEC, we kind of have an idea. There's a few most likely teams. Big 12, we have a pretty good idea. Big 10, we have an even easier idea. That's probably the most clear. But the ACC, there are 5 teams with 1 conference loss. Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pitt, SMU, and Duke. And Duke has 4 total losses. It just so happens that only one of them is a conference loss. One of those is to Group of 5 Tulane. So, if you want to know how the ACC is going to work out, this is the ACC storyline for you. First, some of the biggest games, Virginia at Duke this Saturday. Duke is actually favored in that right now. Pitt at Georgia Tech and Louisville at SMU next Saturday. And then last Saturday, regular season, Miami. Not one of these teams in there, but still a good team facing Pitt. So, here's the scenarios. Who's going to win the ACC? Right here is where you start. If Georgia Tech wins out in their conference, they're playing Georgia, but that, again, doesn't matter for the conference. If they beat Boston College, who has only won 1 game, and Pitt, who is a formidable opponent. We'll see with Notre Dame how they do this week. But if Georgia Tech beats these 2 teams, they're in the conference championship. If Virginia beats Duke and Virginia Tech, they're almost definitely in. But Pitt is in if they beat Georgia Tech and Miami, and if Virginia gets another conference loss. SMU needs to win out and get some help, but Duke, even though they have 4 losses, just needs to win out to make it in the conference championship. So right now, it looks like Georgia Tech's the team to beat in the ACC. Of all these teams, right now, Georgia Tech has a 35% chance to make the playoffs. And then other teams, SMU, Virginia, and Miami are the teams that have the other best chance to make the playoffs. But in the ACC, it's looking like if you're going to make the playoffs, you're going to go through the ACC championship. Number 1 storyline, talking about best player awards. I was just going to talk about the Heisman, but we mentioned enough with MVP because I thought it was a storyline that I was going to cover. But Drake May and Matthew Stafford pretty much tied for number 1. And then Patrick Mahomes and Jonathan Taylor pretty much tied for the next 2. So close race for these 4. Josh Allen and Sam Darnold are a little bit farther behind, but there's a big gap after Sam Darnold. So one of these 6 most likely going to win the award. We got a running back in there. We have the usuals, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. And then we have Sam Darnold and Drake May. And then we have the Unk Matthew Stafford in there. Just what a fun MVP race this is.
Seriously.
But then you look at Heisman odds. Right now, we have a favorite in Ohio State. Julian Sayin is barely above or tied, depending where you look, with Mendoza. Just after an off game against Penn State, Sayin takes the favorite spot. Fernando Mendoza's slightly below him. Ty Simpson's, more than just, he's a couple hundred below Mendoza, and then Marcel Reed following Ty Simpson. So there's a pretty clear group of 4, and if it continues in this race, these will be your Heisman finalists. But, there you go. That's your Heisman race. Looks like we have our finalists somewhat set. And if something happens, if, let's say, Michigan beats Ohio State, Sayin has some bad games. Let's say Mendoza just doesn't play super well, and Alabama just doesn't play as well. Then who knows? Marcel Reed could take it. He hasn't been as accurate on his deep balls as people would like to see, but he's been a great runner and a very formidable passer too. So, Heisman races, Brian Dable fired, ACC Conference Championship fight. Those are my top 3 storylines.
Yeah, I think. Trying to think of what order to put these in. I think. All right. Something that's come up after this week is what to think of the Bills. How much stock to put behind the Bills right now? I think that's a very fair question. And as I looked and am looking at their season so far, I think there's definitely some questions that you can't. Okay, first week of the season, arguably the best game we've seen all season.
Oh.
Bills versus Ravens, 41-40.
Wow.
Big win for them. Comeback. I mean, insanity. Can't take anything away from that win. However, what else have they done? They beat the Jets. They beat the Dolphins. They beat the Saints. They beat the Panthers. And then they've beat the Chiefs. So you have a win against the Chiefs and the Ravens, good wins. And then you have wins against literally the worst teams in the NFL. Jets, Saints, Dolphins, and the Panthers are not one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they're definitely on the bad side of things. Then you look at their losses. Who have they lost to? Well, they got beat by the Falcons pretty bad. They got killed by the Dolphins. And then they got beat by the Patriots, which is a completely fair win. A great game. Patriots are a good team. So they have one decent loss, two bad losses, two good wins, and a lot of wins against bad teams. I think it's hard to tell because the Bills have so much talent. We know how good Josh Allen is. We know the capabilities of that team because they've been shown against the Ravens and against the Chiefs. We know that they can beat good teams, but I don't know that the consistency is there. And I think that there's a lot of questions there that need to be answered in the next, 4 or 5 weeks. This is going into week 11, so 7 weeks, before we can say, oh yeah, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. Because going into this season, the Bills have been a team for a while, since in the Josh Allen era, that I've wanted to root for, that I have rooted for. And this season, there's definitely a lot of questions that need to be considered. Because I think when you're looking at the AFC, they've definitely been up there. Like, the Super Bowl team in the AFC, very likely. There's some questions, and I think you can't put those off to the side. When you look at their schedule, you look at who they've beat, they've had 2 good wins. And they're very good wins. Their 2 good wins are very good wins. Mm-hmm. But 2 of their bad losses are pretty bad losses, too. So just weighing all of that, that's a storyline to be watching as the weeks progress and just see what the Bills do. How do they bounce back from that? That's going to be big to see what they do following this loss against the Dolphins.
Definitely.
My number 2 spot is the Steelers. The Steelers look like it's very likely that they're going to be losing their playoff spot. I would say I talked about this a little bit, but coming maybe 3 weeks into the season, with the Bengals falling apart, the Browns, everything going on with the Browns, you just know they're not going to be good. And then it looked like, okay, now the Ravens are kind of going downhill. And the Steelers just coming off a win against, not this week, but a few weeks ago, last week, beating the Colts. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, the Steelers looked like the clear playoff team in their division. However, they just came off of a 25-10 loss against the Chargers. The Chargers are an amazing team. But looking forward, they have to play the Bears, which are a good team, which they can win that game, but it's going to be a close game. They have to play the Bills. That should be a good game. They have to play the Ravens, which we are now seeing. That's going to be a close game. They have to play the Lions and the Ravens again. And so then throw in games like against the Bengals and the Browns and the Dolphins. Those should be wins.
You never know, though.
But clearly you never know.
Exactly.
But if you toss in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 games that it's really a give or take or even leaning in the other direction away from them, and with the heat that the Ravens are building up, and then looking at how the Ravens have to finish the season, which they get to play the Bengals twice. They're playing the Browns and the Jets. They don't have as tough a final stretch in their season as the Steelers do. And so the Steelers are going to have to lock some things down. They can't afford to lose a lot of games going forth. The big games they have to win. Because it's very likely moving forward that the Ravens can take that spot away from them, that spot that seemed guaranteed up until this point. Mm-hmm. It's looking like they're putting themselves in a position to lose it. Yeah. And so if they can beat the Ravens once and win some of those other big games, I think they have it. But they are going to have to make sure that they're finishing strong, that they're focused. And it seemed like, I think I said last episode that they were the worst division in the NFL. Well, one of those teams is starting to come up. And so the Steelers need to make sure that they're watching that. We need to make sure that we're watching that. That's a storyline to be watching.
Exactly.
And to be keeping track of, because I think the Steelers' playoff chances aren't as guaranteed as they may have seemed moving forward. And finally, and this isn't an insane storyline, but we've covered it the last 2 weeks, so I think we have to talk about the conclusion.
Yep.
College game day is not coming to the Battle of the Ravine.
No college game day in the Delph. And the thing that, well, of course, it's a Division II game. We're in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. All of the odds were against us. Mm-hmm. But
Pittsburgh versus Notre Dame?
I mean,
what?
Sure, they're both playoff contenders. This is a non-con game.
No.
Pitt's coach in press conference yesterday, they asked him, so you're 7-2 team. You've been looking really good the last few weeks. Are you telling your players this is a must-win against Notre Dame? And he was like, I definitely do not see this game as a must-win. It's not an ACC game. If we lose this game, it doesn't hurt our playoff chances. It's literally their coach is not hyping up this game against the top 10 team in the I think Notre Dame's still a top 10 team in the country.
I think they're 9 or 8.
Nine in the,
Texas Tech is 8, so they're 9.
9 in the AP poll right now. Mm-hmm. And just there's just not really any hype around this game. Sure, Pat McAfee's happy to go to his alma mater, but man,
raise your hand if you're a Pittsburgh fan. No one raised their hand.
I've not met any Pitt fans. So,
just kidding.
Of course, sad to see, but hey, 100th year Battle of the Ravine, 2 years from now.
I like our chances.
Of course, it'll be harder with not knowing what games are there and the SEC playing more conference games. But
see, now that we got a taste of that chance, we're going to be on them. Exactly. I think Arkadelphia, I think Henderson and Washita, we're going to be throwing our name out there. And at least, you know what? We got some coverage.
Definitely.
Some not official sports Instagram. I saw some Instagram reels about my school, and it's these two schools, yada, yada, yada. And I'm I know this guy has no, it's not like he works for ESPN, but the names are getting out there. And so, it's one step closer. One step closer to hosting College game day.
Yeah,
I believe in us.
Definitely a lot of press out there.
Yeah. But yeah, those are my storylines. What to think of the Bills, what to think of the Steelers, and then the sad ending to this season's College game day possibilities.
Yeah. Hey, maybe College game day isn't College game day. It's the friends we made along the way.
It's the friends we made. What if they're just pranking us? And then they just show up. No, I don't think so. It is the friends we made along the way. It's the friends that people got to make across the Highway 67, the Henderson and Washita as everybody lined up. That was the real. It was the union of the two schools. Bringing we don't like each other, but this brought us together.
Exactly.
This brought us together.
Exactly.
So we can be thankful for that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what I've got.
I like it. Some good stuff. I realized I forgot to look at NFL memes before I prepped today. So, oh man, if you didn't like the content that Hank Lay had to share today, it's because I did not get my daily dose of NFL memes.
Daily dose of pre-episode prep memes.
Well, we gotta hop out of here in the next 10-ish minutes before someone else needs to make their own podcast.
Oh.
So, oh, man.
Why would anybody have a podcast?
Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Wait a second. Anyway, thanks for I almost just said the line of the outro.
Just jumped
not
right
in the outro. We appreciate your listens. Keep sharing, keep liking, keep reposting now that button exists, commenting, buying our merch, all of it. We want you to interact. The more interaction you get, the more likely it is that you can be one of our first one of the early fans.
Exactly.
One of the fans of us in the early days.
One of the real OGs, as my little brother would say.
You know the Nice Catch podcast? Yeah, I started listening to them back when they were, college students.
Exactly. And don't gatekeep. Don't gatekeep. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need any. You're one of the first fans, but that means that you got to spread the word.
Exactly.
Get us out.
Yeah.
But we're very thankful that we just get to do this and that people take some time out of their day to listen, and we appreciate it.
For sure. We love it.
It's a good time.
Well, thanks for listening to the Nice Catch podcast. We're here to serve you, our listener, and give you the football content you deserve. If you love football, continue to tune in each episode from the off-season all the way through the playoffs. This is the Nice Catch podcast.